morning and a very warm welcome to State of Business on Art Television. I'm Heshain Ali and let's have a look at the headlines first. Current import ban by Sri Lanka should be reconsidered, the delegation of German Industry and Commerce suggests. Cabinet not given for the appointment of subcommittee on investment promotion. News in detail. Upon the approval of the Cabinet of Ministers, a 9-member expert committee has been appointed to prepare the preliminary drafts for the new constitution. This was mentioned by the co-cabinet spokesperson, Minister Udaya Gammanpila, addressing the weekly cabinet press briefing held in the Department of Government Information this morning. Accordingly, Minister Udaya Gammanpila added that the draft of the 20th Amendment to the Constitution by the legal draftsman was tabled to the Cabinet by the Justice Minister Ali Sabri. The Cabinet approval was given to publish the bill in the Government Gazette and then to table in Parliament for approval. Moreover, a 9-member experts committee has been appointed to draft a new constitution and President's Counsel Romesh De Silva has been appointed to head the committee. Other members of the committee are President's Counsel Gamini Marapana, President's Counsel Manohara De Silva, President's Counsel Sanjeeva Jayawardena, Professor Nazima Kamurdin, Dr. A. Shaveshwaran, President's Counsel Samantha Ratwata, Professor Vasantha Seneviratna, and Professor G.H. Pires. In the meantime, responding to the queries of the journalist, Gammanpila added that people's concerns on the issue will be looked into before proving it in the Parliament.
ආණ්ඩුක්‍රම ව්‍යවස්ථාව අනුව අද ගැසට් මගින් මේ ප්‍රසිද්ධ කළාට පස්සේ සති දෙකක් ඒ ප්‍රසිද්ධ කර පවත්වා ගත යුතුයි. ඊට පස්සේ තමයි අධිකරණ අමාත්‍යවරයාට මේක පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට ඉදිරිපත් කළ හැක්කේ. අධිකරණ ඇමතුමා පාර්ලිමේන්තුවට පළවෙනි වර කියවීමෙන් පස්සේ විවාදයට දෙවන වර කියවීමට පෙර සතියක තවත් කාලයක් තියන්න ඕනේ. ඒතර අර සති දෙකේ කාලයේදී අධ්‍යයනය කරලා අඩුපාඩුවක් දැක්ක අයෙකුට ඒක ශ්‍රේෂ්ඨාධිකරණයේ ඉදිරියේ අභියෝගයට ලක් කරන්න තව සතියක කාලයක් ලැබෙනවා. ඒ සතියේ කාලෙන් පස්සේ තමයි පාර්ලිමේන්තුව විවාද කරලා සම්මත කරන අද නම් ගැසට් මගින් ප්‍රසිද්ධ වෙන්නේ. අද සිට සති 3කට පස්සේ තමයි පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ විවාදේ පවත්වන්න පුළුවන්. ඒ අතරේ කවුරු හරි අධිකරණයට ගියොත් තවත් සති 3ක පමාවක් සිද්ධ වෙනවා. ඒ නිසා රටේ සංවාදයක් ඇති වේවි. අධිකරණ ඉදිරියට ගියාම නීති තර්ක මතුවේවි. ප්‍රසිද්ධ කරලා තියෙන සති 3ේදී දේශපාලන සංවාදයක් මතුවේවි. නීතිමය සංවාදයක් මතුවේවි. ඒ සියල්ලම සලකලා බලලා තමයි අවසාන වශයෙන් පාර්ලිමේන්තුවේ සම්මත කරන්න කටයුතු කරන්නේ.
Moreover, addressing a media briefing last Monday, Secretary of the Government Medical Officers Association, Haritha Aludge, added that the GMOA has appealed the Justice Minister to incorporate the All-Island Health Service in future constitutional amendments as well.
We, as the GMOA, which is a trade union in the health sector, has observed that the devolution which has taken place in the country, where unnecessary powers were authorized to the provincial councils, which has adversely affected the health system. In 1987, when the provincial council system was introduced to country, it took around 13 years to observe the adverse effects, especially in northwestern province, where the chief minister and the provincial council tried to have their own policies, challenging the national policies within their provincial council. GMOA pioneered, and we have at that time protested against the decision of the Northwestern Province policy decision. And at that time, the president was Her Excellency Chandika Bandaranaike Kumaratunga, and she has appointed a committee headed by retired Supreme Court Judge Mr. Ananda Kumaraswamy, and the committee has gone into detail and has given his final conclusion that health system should be all-island service. At the moment also that gazette notification is there. What we are asking is that to convert that gazette notification into the constitution, so the law will be much stronger.
In the meantime, the Cabinet of Ministers has approved the proposal to appoint a Cabinet subcommittee on investment promotion to expand the local and foreign investment facilities for an export and import substitution manufacturing economy. Accordingly, Cabinet Subcommittee on Investment Promotion, chaired by President Gotabaya Rajapaksa, will comprise 15 ministers, including Prime Minister Mahinda Rajapaksa, Ministers Douglas Devananda, Dr. Bandula Gunawardena, Industries Vimal Veeravansa, Mahinda Amaravira, Plantations Dr. Ramesh Patrana, and 7 others. Cabinet approval was also granted to get the assistance of 6 state ministers for the activities of the subcommittee, including State Minister of Money and Capital Market and State Enterprise Reforms, Ajit Niwad Cabral, and State Minister of Urban Development, Coast Conservation, Waste Disposal and Community Cleanliness, Dr. Nalaka Godaheva. Moving on, Cabinet approval was given to appoint an expert committee representing all relevant parties to formulate a new national trade policy. Subsequently, the Cabinet of Ministers has granted approval to allocate plots of land from the regional industrial zones for the establishment of industries under the Regional Industrial Zones Development Program implemented by the Ministry of Industries. On the other hand, the Cabinet approval was provided to the National Policy Proposal on Natural Gases drafted by Minister Uday Gammanpilla. Subsequently, the Cabinet decided to temporarily suspend the import of vehicles for a period of 1 year as there is a sufficient stock prevailing in the country to meet requirements. Addressing the weekly Cabinet media briefing, co-Cabinet spokesman and Ms. Dr. Ramesh Patrana added that there are vehicles which can be utilized for state institutions after renovations, and he said that 4,116 vehicles would be in working condition after minor repairs, while a total of 5,588 vehicles owned by state institutions were identified to be disposable. Thus, a Cabinet decision had been taken to hand over these vehicles after repairs to state institutions which require vehicles.
If my memory serves me correct, about 2,000 vehicle permits have been issued, probably by the previous government. Then what will happen to those permits?
I think Dr. P.B. Jasner very clearly stated the fact that we are not going to import vehicles for the time being, but those permit holders, they can use their permit to purchase a vehicle from the local market, deducting the value of the permit. So they have the chance of purchasing a vehicle from the local market, because we have seen that there are so many vehicles. The market is flooded with a lot of vehicles. So we don't see any need to import further vehicles. Two sides, actually, we have too many vehicles in the country. On the other side, we have a foreign exchange issue. So to curtail those two matters, so the permit holders can purchase a vehicle from the local market by utilizing their permit. The sellers will reduce the value of the permit.
Now, there was an assessment done, and according to the assessment, they come to the conclusion that the country has enough vehicles, taking into the consideration the turnover of vehicles for 1 year. If you look at some of the vehicle sales outlets, if you go and speak to them, they'll say this vehicle is for there for 6 months, 9 months, 8 months. So obviously, there are enough and more vehicles at the moment, according to the assessment, for about a year. As you know, that with the COVID pandemic, we have a serious issue of exchange and on all sides. So you need to have certain controls where the exchange is concerned and the balance of payment and the deficit to be fixed at a particular rate, and we need to adhere to it, and then we need certain cutting and chopping to be done.
Stay tuned for more news right after this commercial break. Welcome back after the break. Chief Delegate of German Industry and Commerce in Sri Lanka, Andreas Hagenrother, says that Sri Lanka has been recognized by the world as one of the low-risk countries to invest in business opportunities. He made these remarks delivering the welcome speech at a special session and a panel discussion on sustainable supply chains as driver for the global competitiveness, which was held in Colombo yesterday.
Many of the Sri Lankan exporters today already fulfill the requirements, but they sometimes lack of the required documentation. And the documentation and the transparency of this documentation is required by the importers. On a certain level, as I said, it is required by law already, but on a different level, it is today already required by retailers and importers in the European Union and other countries. For certain industries in Sri Lanka, sustainability standards have been, for a long time, they have been played for many years a very important role, and a very positive example is the apparel sector. Already in 2006, the Joint Apparel Federation initiated the campaign Garments Without Guilt, which was much related to labor and social standards, and it conducted to the fact finally that Sri Lanka was recognized as a low-risk sourcing destination. I think that was a huge success. It was driven majorly also by the large players.
Chief Delegate of German Industry and Commerce in Sri Lanka, Andreas Hagenreuter, also said the success of the businesses depend on the mutual market access and requested to consider the abolishment of current import ban by the Sri Lankan government. The panel discussion has been organized by Frederick Norman Foundation for Freedom and the Delegation of German Industry and Commerce in Sri Lanka.
We strongly believe that trade can only be sustainable if mutual market access is guaranteed. And we understand that we are currently here in a very difficult situation, but we hope that in the future we will also have an abolishment of the current import ban that has also harming a lot European and German exports, because as I see it, we have to be fair, we have to be open, and with this we both grow. For our side, we have been supporting Sri Lankan exporters since our beginning, since the start of our office. We have conducted many delegations in different sectors to promote Made in Sri Lanka as a quality brand, and we will also continue this for 2021. We already have scheduled delegations in the field of rubber, especially for the tire industry, in May 2021 to the world's leading show for tires. We have also programmed another delegation for the Fruit Logistica, the world's largest event for fruits, vegetables and spices, which will take place in March 2021 in Berlin, and hopefully COVID-19 will allow us.
The Marine Environment Protection Authority assured that all precautionary measures would be taken to prevent any possible oil leak from the vessel which caught fire 38 nautical miles off Sangamankanda in mid-seas. Sri Lanka Navy said that the vessel was identified as the New Diamond, which was heading to the Paradip port in India carrying crude oil from Kuwait. Information from the news agency says that the vessel was carrying 270,000 metric tons of crude oil, including 1,700 tons of diesel. Navy also said that the fire had begun in the engine room of the vessel and the crew had made all their possible efforts to bring it under control. Sources also said that at least 2 casualties have been reported from the point, while another had been trapped in the engine room where the fire was reportedly erupted. Sources also added that 19 crew members were evacuated initially from the ship, while the captain, the first and the second officers were still on board. However, they also assured that the deck of the vessel had been sealed and the information was coming from a nearby vessel. Meanwhile, Marine Environmental Protection Authorities said if the cargo and the diesel on board the vessel were to leak, it would definitely have disastrous consequences. MEP officials also said that Sri Lanka on its own will not be able to handle such a big disaster. They also added that they had already commenced the coordination with the South Asian region as well as international organizations to get support to counter this situation. MEPA has already prepared the equipment and other resources to counter a possible leakage of crude oil and send them to Hambantota immediately. Sri Lanka Navy, together with Air Force, is keeping vigilance to meet any unexpected or required service. Stay tuned for stock updates. Welcome back after the break. The trading at Colombo Stock Exchange ended on a negative note today. The All Share Price Index dropped 9.14 points to close at 5,350.85, and the S&P SL 20 dropped 4.55 points to close at 2,343.81. The turnover was 1.1 billion rupees and over 71 million shares were traded. Up next are Forex rates. And that's all news for today. See you tomorrow with State of Business at the usual time. Until then, take care and good night.